The dark night of the soul. Sounds very dramatic. In this video I will like to talk about the concept that is known as the dark night of the soul. And mind you, I'm not talking about Batman. It is not the Dark Knight Batman. It is Night, the Dark Night of the soul. So what does that mean, and what does that concept point towards? Well, it points towards an experience. And that experience can happen in two different ways. Sometimes a combination of the two, or oftentimes a combination of the two. The conditioned mind is what we could call a controlling mechanism. By that I mean that the conditioned mind are a constant seeker after some kind of security. Something that can make it feel safe. Also, even if you do not recognize it as such in yourself, that is actually what is going on. And the reason for that is that in the root of the conditioned mind, there is a sense of not being safe. And the reason for that is that the conditioned mind is carrying a worldview. The conditioned mind has constructed a worldview. But that worldview is a conceptual worldview that consists of ideas, beliefs, convictions. And that worldview, that conditioned worldview, is different for each human being. There might be aspects that are similar with other human beings, but the complete worldview is unique for every human being. And that worldview feels constantly threatened because it is alone. It is seeking alliances with other worldviews, trying to create a sense of security. But no matter how many alliances that it creates, it will always feel threatened by reality. So that is the energy behind searching, searching for something that is more solid, more foundational, something that is not so fragile. But then the conditioned mind can encounter a paradox. There are a lot of paradoxes within non-dual spirituality. I don't know if you have noticed that. So I mentioned that this dark night of the soul can happen in typically two different ways. The first way is if a human being encounters a authentic awakening. An authentic awakening that reveals the impermanence of everything. And when that is seen, the conditioned mind gets confused. Everything that the mind was clinging to evaporates, and everything is void, nothing to hold on to, nothing to grasp onto. And that sensation is what we call the dark night of the soul. The soul is screaming. It is actually the conditioned mind that is screaming in terror, because it is suddenly seen clearly that there are nothing to hold on to, that everything that you thought were solid, everything you thought that was foundational, is suddenly seen to be empty, empty of substance, is seen to be mental fictions. And in that seeing, everything evaporates. And the conditioned mind is trying to find something to hold on to. But everything that it grasps out for turns into dust. The dark night of the soul. That is one way that it can happen. Another way that it can happen is, and now I am using a metaphor, another way that it can happen is, and that is actually possibly much more common, I think. So, okay, there is an impulse to seek truth. It is intuited that there is something phony about the way one is living. So one is starting to seek truth and seeking a spiritual teaching, perhaps a spiritual teaching like this one. Or it could be any other non-dual spiritual teaching. And in that spiritual teaching, you will be exposed at a quite different message that you typically hear in everyday society. That is a message of negation, not that, not that, not that, where everything is being peeled apart. And when you do that, then slowly, bit by bit, the conditioned mind's worldview is slowly pulled apart. And metaphorically speaking, there is this sensation of being pushed towards the edge of a cliff, surrounded by truth chipping away of all the illusions. And you're being pushed towards the edge. And then suddenly you find yourself standing there with your feet over the edge. And truth is all around you. And truth says to you, jump. And it is only a matter of time how long time you can resist, how long time the conditioned mind can keep on creating new ideas, creating new beliefs. Finally, at some stage, the conditioned mind has no place to seek refuge. It has nowhere to hide. And then you jump. That is a leap of faith. But what you do is that you jump into truth. And you say, okay, truth, I surrender. I surrender to you. And then you experience yourself as free falling. And while you are free falling, again, this is metaphorically speaking, do not jump from a cliff. I am not encouraging you to jump from any cliff. In reality, this is only a metaphor. So, we jump into truth, and then we find ourselves in free fall. And we observe the mind trying to grab for something in this free falling, but there is nothing to hold on to. That is the dark night of the soul. The mind terrified, everything that it believed in, gone. And you're just falling. So, how long will this take? It's impossible to answer. It's different. But I will tell you this much, that what you come to discover, sometimes people will say that what you come to discover is that there are no ground, so it is not dangerous to fall. So relax. That is a beautiful way of putting it, but I prefer another way of putting it. What you can come to discover is that whilst you are free falling, everything is falling with you. The entire existence is falling with you. And you do not have to grab hold on anything, because you cannot escape what is falling with you. So relax. And when you discover that the dark night of the soul is over, you relax because you discover that you have always been safe. You discover that the very tendency to try to grab hold on something was what made you feel unsafe. And when you stop that, when you see that you are free falling with the entire existence, then you experience being safe, perhaps for the first time ever. And you relax. And then you start enjoying the free fall. And you will find yourself from time to time laughing. Laughing at the tendency, trying to grab hold of something in free fall, whilst everything is falling with you. It is just a childish, conditioned mind. Don't blame it. See through it. See it for what it is. But now you know. So that is the dark night of the soul. Don't get stuck there. We are all in free fall. Together with everything else. Enjoy the ride. Relax. You are okay. You are safe. Where will you go? There are no way to go. No matter where you go, you are still in free fall with everything. Let's free fall together. Liberated. Safe. In love. We are free falling together. Relax. You are okay. You do not lack anything, because everything is already here. This is it. You cannot escape it. And you have never been able to escape it. The mind has tried. But then the mind was trying to escape it whilst it was free falling with everything else. Relax, my friend. Relax, you are okay. Yes, the mind may complain, and the mind has many ideas about why it is not okay. But then it is the mind complaining about what it thinks that it lacks, whilst it is free falling with everything else. So how can you lack anything? This is it, my friend. This is it. Stop fighting what is. And when you stop fighting what is, you will discover the insane beauty of existence. It is all within you. It is all within you. You can find it all within you. You need not look anywhere else. It is all within you. The entire existence.